Hi, I want us to talk about a concept that is so fundamental and yet so important in programming that your ability to write programs depends on correctly understanding this concept. And that is why I am making this face to face video with you to be able to explain the concept to you very well. And even before I tell you what the concept is called technically in programming, I'm going to use a scenario in real life to try to explain that concept to you before we come to the technical details. And so I want you to remember how homes are addressed in real life, okay? So, depending on where you live, of course, but in most places, each house has an address. And if I know your address, there are at least two things that I can do with your address as far as I have good intentions. The first thing I can do when I know your address is I can come to your home to deliver a package to you. Okay, so imagine that you buy something on an e-commerce website and you provide your home address to the seller. With the information of your home address, the seller is going to be able to ship your package, and the delivery guys will use your home address to come to your house and deliver the package. The second thing that I can do with the information of your home address is I can come to your home to pick something. I'm not talking of stealing here. I'm talking of, coming to your home to pick something with the right permissions, okay? So you can see that having addresses in real life helps us to achieve these two things. I can come and deliver something to you, or I can come and take something from you. When it comes to programming, there is a similar concept. And I want you to remember the discussion we had about the computer architecture. You remember I said that your program statement and the data that your program operates on is going to be loaded into your memory, okay? And so in programming, we have a similar concept, and the technical name for what I have described to you with the real life scenario in programming is known as variables, okay? And so what a variable does is to help you to store information in your computer's memory. And when I talk of memory, I want you to know that I'm talking about your RAM, or the random access memory. The one that I told you is ephemeral, which means it loses the information it stores when you take power out of the computer. And so with variables, we as programmers are able to store values in the RAM, and we are also able to read values from the RAM. So it is similar to somebody coming to deliver a package to you using your home address, or somebody coming to pick a package from you using your home address. So now that I have made this explanation clear to you, I'm going to switch scenes, and then we will take a technical look at what I have explained to you with a real life scenario. And so I'm going to switch scenes here. And then now on your screen, I have the definition of a variable. And so variables are locations in the computer's memory where data is stored during the runtime of a program. When I say the runtime of a program, what I mean is the duration within which your program is running. And what variables helps us to do, as I have explained already, is to help us to be able to store values into the RAM and also retrieve values from the RAM. If there is anything at all you want to pick from this video, it is the definition of a variable, as you can see on your screen. I said they are locations in memory where data or values are stored during the runtime of a program. Now, there is one other important thing you need to know about the concept of variables, and that is data types. Now, the computer is able to store different types of values, which we will take a look at. But for now, I want you to know that each variable has an associated data type. And the data type of a variable is what determines the type of values a variable can contain and the operations that it supports. So when some variables can contain numbers, and because they contain numbers, they support different operations from variables that contain other different data types, which we will take a look at. So the next thing I want us to take a look at is how to declare variables in Python. And by variable declaration, what I mean is you are actually allocating or reserving a space in the computer's memory, and then you are storing a value there. The way the computer is able to achieve this is your RAM is divided into blocks of cells, and each of these cells have unique addresses, similar to the addressing system that we have in our normal cities. Okay, so your RAM is divided into blocks, and each of these blocks or cells are assigned unique addresses. And so what happens when we declare a variable is we give a variable a name, and then we bring the equal to, and then we give a value. What is actually happening internally is that the computer will go to a place in your computer's RAM, and this is usually decided on by the operating system. So in your program, you write a variable name equal to, and then you set a value. But what technically happens is that your operating system will allocate some space in your computer's memory, which is the RAM, and it will assign that value that you store in the variable to that location in memory, and it will give that location of memory the variable name that you assigned. You know, the reason why it is important for us to be able to assign human readable variable names to these blocks or cells in memory is because the addressing scheme in the computer's RAM, uses some long strings of numbers which are not friendly to us human beings. It is not easy for us to understand. And so by being able to assign our own names to these unique cells in memory, it helps us to write programs that are easy to read and easy to understand. But technically, under the hood, the computer uses its addressing scheme to be able to go to this memory location, either to set a value or to read a value. And most programming languages have rules that governs how to name variables, and Python also has those rules as well. But I'm going to tell you the most important ones that you need to remember. And what I want you to remember when creating a variable name is that it must contain alphanumeric characters. And what I mean by alphanumeric characters is that each of the characters in the variable name should consist of either the alphabet or numbers. Okay, and one other important thing is that it must always start with an alphabet, but after it has started with an alphabet, it can contain numbers in between. Also, if you want to create a variable name and the name is such that then there's the need for there to be a space, you have to use the underscore character instead, because you cannot have spaces in variable names. So you use the underscore character where you would otherwise use a space, and that helps to improve legibility and readability of your variable names. And I believe with this video you have understood the concept of variables. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to actually create variables in Python and use them in your program statement. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.